Hello, welcome to today's lesson. Previously, we talked about the introduction to commerce and we shed more light on the aids to trade. And today, we will looking into the division of commerce. Commerce is divided into two parts. We have the trade, and the second part is to trade. And today, we'll focus more on one part, which is trade. Now, what is trade? Trade is the buying and selling of goods and services. The buying and selling of goods and services. What are goods? Goods can be toys, can be phones, clothing, foodstuff, snacks. All these are various goods. Then services can be you go to the salon to make your hair or to cut your hair. Your parents get a mechanic to fix the car. All these are services. Even when you go to the hospital and the doctor attends to you for treatment and all that, it is part of services. So the trade is the buying and selling of goods and services. Before the introduction of money, which serves as a medium of exchange, trade was carried out in a form of barter. And what is barter? Is a system of trading before the introduction of money. Trade by barter is a system where goods are exchanged for other goods. For example, you see the picture on the screen, and one of the man was is holding a meat, and this man needs fish. He has meat, but he needs fish. He have to look for someone who has fish but need meat, so they could what exchange. That is what trade by barter is. Now, trade is divided into two parts. We have the home trade and the foreign trade. Home trade and foreign trade. If you check the organogram on your screen, you see the trade at the top. Then we have home trade and foreign trade. Then under home trade, we have the retail and the wholesale. Then for foreign trade, we have the exports, imports, and intraports. These are the division of trade. So let's move further. What then is home trade? Home trade is concerned with the buying and selling of goods and services produced within a country to satisfy the wants of consumers. It says the buying and selling of goods and services that is produced within a country to satisfy the wants of a consumer. Let's take, for example, if Gary produced in Benin City is sold to a customer in Lagos, it is regarded as home trade because Benin City and Lagos are both in Nigeria. So it's within a country. That is home trade. Now, home trade has subdivision. We have the wholesale and the retail. Now, the wholesale, which is handled by the wholesaler buys goods in large quantities from the producer, while the retailer buys goods from different wholesalers and sells in small quantities to the final consumer. So after the producer, the manufacturer makes goods, the wholesaler buys those goods and store them in warehouses. Then before they sell to the retailer, and the retailer sell directly in small quantity to the final consumer. So that's the division of home trade. Now let's talk about foreign trade. What is foreign trade? Foreign trade is also called international trade. It is a trade that involves two or more countries. That is foreign trade. Sometimes goods produced in one country can be taken to another country for sales. If goods produced in Nigeria, one major goods Nigeria will export is crude oil. So when crude oil is taken from Nigeria to to Ghana for sales, it is called foreign trade. So that foreign trade involves two or more countries. But you need to understand that in foreign trade there are some difficulties involved. Some I'll give you some of those difficulties in foreign trade. Number one difficulty is different languages. They are different language. So you see, let's assume Nigeria is involved in a business with India, and Nigerians speak English, and Indians speaks their own local dialects. You see, there will be difficulties in communication. Another difficulties in foreign trade is different currency. Now, before Nigerian can buy goods from US, the United States of America, they have to convert our Nigerian naira to American dollars. You see, it brings about difficulty in the foreign trade. But if it's within a country, they make use of the same currency. Another difficulty is the different cultures. Culture is a total way of life of a group of people living in a specific place. So you say the culture of Nigeria is different from the culture of South Africa. It's different from the culture of Germany. So it will bring about difficulty in the foreign trade. Another difficulty is political system. The political system of Russia is different from that of Nigeria. So it's another difficulty in foreign trade. And last point I'll give you is the long distance. So the distance to transport goods from Italy to Nigeria. You see the long distance. So these are some difficulties involved in foreign trade. So foreign trade is also divided into three parts, which we'll call the division of foreign trade. And we have the imports, the exports, and the intraports. One thing is imports when it comes to foreign trade. Import involves bringing goods produced in other countries into our own country. Now, you just when, for example, television is made in China, and we have to buy those televisions and bring them into Nigeria. That is imports. So we Nigerians usually buy goods such as motor cars from Germany, electronics from Japan, computers from America. You see, those things, this various equipment or things, we buy them from other countries because we don't produce them in Nigeria, and we import them into our country, Nigeria. That is import. So import involves bringing goods produced in other countries into our own country. Then what is exports? Export is the direct opposite of imports. Is the direct opposite of import. It involves selling locally produced goods and services to other countries in need of them. Export involves selling locally produced goods and services to other countries in need of them. So, for example, Nigeria will derive most of our foreign exchange revenues from exports of crude oil and some farm produce such as cocoa, cotton, and groundnuts. So we produce those things in Nigeria and we send them to other countries. We sell to other countries. That is exports. Then we move to the next, which is intraports. Intraports is a combination of import and export. Intraport is re-exporting of goods already imported into a country. Now, every businessman is always thinking of how to maximize profit, how to make more profits. For example, um, a businessman buys goods from China and imports them into Nigeria, and found out that those same goods he bought from China, if he takes them to another country like Ghana for sales, he will make more money. So you see, he buys the goods, imports those goods. Let's assume he imports shoes from Italy to Nigeria, and he later decides to take those shoes to Ghana for sales to earn more money. That is import. So intraport. Intraport is re-exporting of goods already imported into a country. And lastly, what is the relationship between a producer and a consumer? What is the relationship between producer and consumer? Remember, a producer is a person or a business that makes goods or provides services. That is a producer. He that is making goods or providing services. Then a consumer. Who is a consumer? A consumer is a person that or a business that buys or use goods or services. So that is the consumer. Remember, production cannot be complete until the goods gets to the final consumer. So the relationship between the producer and the consumer has to do with the producer buys produce goods and the consumer buy and use those goods. So the relationship is very, very close. Now the route through which the goods must pass before it gets to the consumer is called the channel of distribution. The goods doesn't just move from the producer straight to the consumer. There is some process it must follow, and that process is called the channel of distribution. So it moves from the producer to the wholesaler who buys in large quantity, and from the wholesaler the goods move to the retailer who buys in small quantities from the wholesaler, and from the retailer sells directly to the what consumer. So this is the channel of distribution, or you can also call it the chain of distribution. The producer produces the goods, the wholesaler buys in bulk from the producer, the wholesaler sells to the retailer in small quantities, then the retailer sells to the consumer. And that is the channels of distribution. I hope you've learned something about trade today, and we'll see in our next class. Thank you. Success.